Admiral Tyke stood at the viewing window. His hard outer shell gleamed in the blue light of the station. He watched the human ship come closer. This was the first time humans had traveled beyond their own star system. "Admiral, they want to dock," said Lieutenant Voss. Her big bug-like eyes flashed as she read the message. "Let them dock," said Tyke. "Get the translators ready." The human ship looked smooth and well-made for a race so new to space travel. As the doors opened, Tyke and his team stood tall with their hard-jointed arms in the formal greeting position. 5 humans walked out. They had different heights and skin colors. Their leader, a female with black hair tied back, stepped forward. "I am Captain Jisoo from Earth," she said through the translator. "We come in peace and want to be friends." Tyke was about to say his welcome speech when he heard a strange noise. From behind Captain Jisoo came a huge animal. It had sharp teeth and strong muscles under thick orange and black fur. The security team quickly raised their weapons. "Stop!" Jisoo shouted, looking confused at their reaction. "This is just Daehyun's friend, Bora." A male human came forward and put his hand on the beast's large head. Tyke's scanner showed the animal had jaws strong enough to crush metal, but it sat down calmly and made a deep rumbling sound. "Is there a problem?" asked Daehyun, rubbing behind the animal's ears. "Bora is very nice. She never hurts anyone." Admiral Take's mouth parts clicked in shock. "That is a meat-eating killer beast from your world?" "Oh, she's just a Siberian tiger," Daehyun said with a smile. "My family has been raising them as friends for hundreds of years. Would you like to touch her? She loves meeting new people." The security team stepped back all at once. Captain Jisoo seemed to suddenly understand the problem. "Admiral, is it not okay to bring pets on the station?" "Pets?" Take's translator had trouble with the word. "You mean you choose to live with killer animals? For fun?" "Not just for fun," said another human named Dr. Hyun. "For friendship, for comfort. They are like family to us." Tyke's feelers twitched nervously as he saw that each human wore a badge showing a different companion animal. One even had pictures of something called a honey badger on her clothes. "But why?" asked Lieutenant Voss. Captain Jisoo smiled. "Have you never felt how nice it is to touch something soft when you feel bad? It helps us feel better." The room went quiet as everyone thought about what this meant. These humans had taken the most dangerous animals from their planet and made them into pets, just so they could touch something soft. This first meeting was going to be much harder than anyone had thought. Back on the human ship, Engineer Do-Yun checked the engine readings. Everything looked good after their long journey. He heard a soft meow and felt something brush against his leg. "Hello, Miso," he said, reaching down to pet the small black cat. Miso had been the ship's good luck charm on their historic journey. The tiny cat jumped onto the control panel and purred. "Captain," Jisoo's voice came through the speaker. "Do-Hyun, we need you at the meeting and bring the files about our animal companions. The aliens are concerned." "What's wrong?" asked Do-Hyun. "They just saw Bora and nearly started a war." Jisoo sighed. "They've never seen anyone keep predators as pets before." Do-Hyun laughed. "Wait until they meet Sook's Komodo dragons." "Don't even joke about that," Jisoo said. "I need you to help explain why humans and Earth animals have such special bonds. And maybe leave Miso on the ship for now." Do-Hyun gathered his files. These included thousands of years of human history with animals, from the first wolves that joined human camps to the modern companion animals that helped humans explore space. "Sorry, Miso," he said, gently placing the cat on his bunk. "I'll be back soon." In the station meeting room, Admiral Tyke and the other aliens sat as far as possible from Bora the tiger. The huge cat lay on the floor next to Daehyun, looking sleepy and harmless. "Let me understand this," Tyke said. "On your planet there are animals that could easily kill you?" "Many," nodded Jisoo. "And instead of avoiding these animals or killing them, you befriended them?" "Yes," said Dr. Hyun. "It started thousands of years ago with wolves, the ancestors of what we now call dogs." Tyke's eyes widened. "You have more than one species of predator as pets?" The door opened and Do-hyun entered with a large data tablet. I have our records here, Admiral. Humans have domesticated 39 predator species over our history. The aliens looked at each other in horror. But why take such risks? Asked Voss. Many of your people must have died. Many did, Jisoo admitted. But we kept trying. There's something special about forming a bond with a creature so different from yourself. Something that could hurt you, but chooses not to. Something that protects you instead. Do-hyun showed them pictures. Humans with lions, bears, eagles, sharks, and dozens of other dangerous animals, all living together. This makes no sense, said Taek. No logical species would do this. Humans aren't always logical, smiled Jisoo. We follow our hearts as much as our heads. And we discovered something amazing. When you show love to these animals, they love you back. Even the most dangerous ones? Asked Voss, looking at Bora. Especially the dangerous ones, said Daehyun, as the tiger rolled onto her back, showing her belly. The stronger the animal, the deeper the trust must be. That's what makes it special. Taek stood up suddenly. I must report this to the Galactic Council. This is unprecedented. As the aliens filed out of the room, Do-hyun whispered to Jisoo, They're afraid of us now, aren't they? Jisoo watched the aliens leave, their hard shells clicking as they hurried away. Yes. But not because of our technology or weapons. Because we make friends with tigers? Because, Jisoo said thoughtfully, they've just realized humans can make friends with anything. Even the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, and they're wondering what that means for them. The tiger yawned, showing her huge teeth, then went back to sleep, unaware that she had just changed the course of human history in space. 3 months after meeting the humans, the Galactic Confederation built an official meeting place on Earth. Ambassador Zik was chosen because he knew how to deal with strange aliens, but nothing prepared him for all the different killer animals that humans kept as pets. This is the Soul Animal Friend Center, said Do-young, his human guide. He led Zik through a big building full of Earth's scariest animals, all of them tame. Zik's special suit beeped warnings as they walked past. A case with huge lizards. Their teeth were as big as his fingers. What are those? He asked, trying to stay calm. Komodo dragons, Do-young said happily. Siok's team has been working with them for 50 years. The tame ones today are much nicer than their wild grandparents. Would you like to hold a baby one? Zik politely said no as they kept walking. They passed humans playing with animals that, according to Confederation records, should have been eating the humans instead of getting belly rubs. In one room, an old woman named Sunja sat with 8 wolves around her. All of them seemed to be fighting for a chance to put their heads on her lap. My family has kept these wolves for 12 generations, she explained, seeing Zik watching. Their great-great-grandparents were the most feared hunters in our forests. But now little Minjae here cries if I don't let him sleep on my pillow. The wolf she pointed to, which was almost as tall as Zik, yawned and showed rows of sharp teeth before gently licking Sunja's hand. But, weren't you scared? Zik couldn't help asking. Sunja laughed. Of course. The friendship between humans and our animal friends has always been built on respect. We never forgot what they can do. That's what makes our bond so special. Later, in a meeting with human experts, Zik tried to understand why humans did this strange thing. So you're saying, he asked Dr. Yuna, who studied human behavior, that your people went after the most dangerous animals on your planet because you liked how their fur felt when you touched it? That's making it too simple, Dr. Yuna replied. It took thousands of years. But yes, we saw animals that could be friends and decided the risk was worth it. Even though many of your people must have died trying, Jong, who knew human history, nodded sadly. Many did die. There are many stories of failed attempts to tame animals throughout our past. But we kept trying. Why? Zik asked, truly confused. The humans looked at each other before Min, who studied genes, leaned forward. Ambassador, has your species ever felt lonely? The question surprised Zik. My people are naturally alone. We only meet others to have babies. That might be the difference then, Min suggested. Humans grew up as social creatures. We need connections, even with species that aren't like us. As Zik walked through a park near the human city, he saw something that made him stop. A small, human child no more than 4 years old was riding on the back of a huge spotted cat. The child's mother walked beside them, holding a thin rope attached to the cat's collar. "Faster, Benji," the child cried, and the big cat, which Zik's database identified as a cheetah, trotted a little quicker, careful with its precious load. Zik touched his translator. "Excuse me, human, is that safe?" The mother smiled. "Oh yes. Benji has been with our family since before Mina was born. He's very gentle with children. But that is a cheetah," Zik said. "The fastest land predator on your planet. That's why Mina loves him," the mother laughed. "He gives better rides than any other cat. We just make sure he gets plenty of exercise, so he doesn't get too playful." As if understanding, the cheetah looked at Zik with intelligent yellow eyes. There was no hostility there, just a calm awareness. The cat could kill both humans in seconds if it wanted to. Instead, it was carefully carrying a child on its back. Zek's mind could not make sense of this. Back at the Confederation Embassy, Zeke sent his daily report. "The human's relationship with Earth predators goes deeper than we thought," he dictated. "It is not just about having soft things to pet. They have formed true partnerships across species lines." His assistant, another Torvelian named Kraz, looked up from his data pad. "I spoke with a human today who has something called a service animal. It was a large canine that helps her because she cannot see." "Yes," Zik said. "They call those guide dogs. But they have animals that help with many different problems. Some can smell when a human's blood sugar is wrong. Others can tell when a human is about to have a seizure. And some just provide comfort to humans who feel sad or anxious." "It seems inefficient," Kraz said. "Why not just build machines to do these things?" "They have machines too," Zik replied, "but they prefer the animals. They say the emotional connection cannot be replaced." Zik thought about the old woman. With her wolves and the child riding the cheetah, the humans didn't just keep these animals because they were useful. There was something deeper happening, something Zik was starting to understand but couldn't quite explain to his people. That evening, Zik visited Dr. Yuna's home for dinner, a gesture of friendship between their species. When he arrived, he found the doctor in her garden throwing a stick for a large brown animal. "This is Maya," Dr. Yuna said, introducing the creature that bounded up to Zik with a wagging tail. "She's a chocolate Labrador." Zik tensed, but the dog just sniffed his, sued curiously before sitting down. "She won't hurt you," Yuna assured him. "Labs are one of the friendliest breeds we have." "I'm still getting used to being around predators," Zik admitted. Yuna smiled and led him inside. As they ate, Zik with his special methane-rich food, Yuna with her human meal. The dog lay at her feet, occasionally looking up with adoring eyes. "I've been thinking about your question from earlier," Yuna said, "about why we went to such lengths to befriend dangerous animals. Have you found a better answer?" "I think we do it because we see ourselves in them." Zek's translator struggled with this concept. "You see yourselves in fanged predators?" Yuna nodded. "Humans are predators too, Ambassador. We hunted and killed to survive for most of our history. But we also yearned for connection, for understanding. Perhaps when we look at a wolf or a tiger, we recognize a kindred spirit, another hunter trying to survive, and we think, maybe we're not so different after all." "And the softness?" Zik asked. "The comfort of petting?" "That came later." Yuna laughed, reaching down to stroke Maya's fur. "Once you're friends with something, it's nice to show affection. Touching soft fur feels good to us, yes. But I think that tigers and wolves and dogs like being petted just as much. It became a language we could share across species." Zik watched as the dog closed its eyes in contentment at the doctor's touch. He wondered what it would feel like to trust another species so completely that you would expose your most vulnerable parts to them. "Would you like to try?" Yuna asked, noticing his gaze. Carefully, Zik extended one environmental glove. The dog sniffed it, then pushed her head against his hand. Through the thin material, he could feel the warmth and softness. "She likes you," Yuna said. Something strange happened in Zeke's chest, a feeling he hadn't experienced before. Later, in his private journal, he would try to describe it. "Today I touched a predator from Earth. It did not try to eat me. Instead, it seemed happy. The humans call this trust. I am beginning to understand why they risked so much to form these bonds. There is power here, not the power of weapons or technology, but something deeper. The humans have learned to turn natural enemies into friends. I wonder what this means for their place in our Confederation." That night, as many Confederation species filed formal complaints about allowing humans to join their community, Zik found himself thinking about Maya the dog and Benji the cheetah. Perhaps the other species were right to be concerned. Any species that could befriend its predators might be capable of befriending anything or anyone, and that made humans either the most dangerous species in the galaxy or the most valuable. The big meeting on New Arcturus Space Station was supposed to make humans official members of the Galactic Confederation. Leaders from over 200 alien species came to talk about the rules humans would need to follow. The human team, led by Ambassador Taewon, agreed to leave their animal friends on their ships. The aliens were too nervous around Earth's predators. This agreement lasted exactly 3 hours and 22 minutes. "Alert! Alert! Unknown creature in Section 14, screamed the station's computer. "Danger! Danger!" The meeting fell apart as aliens ran for safety. Security teams rushed to the area with weapons ready. What they found was Jun-Ho, a young human helper, looking very embarrassed. Next to him was a small, fluffy black and white animal. "I can explain," Jun-Ho said, raising his hands. "This is Panda. She's my emotional support animal. She gets sad when left alone too long." The security chief, a tough alien with battle scars, pointed his weapon at the creature. "That thing got past 7 layers of security." "Well, she is part ferret," Jun-Ho admitted. "They're known for being escape artists, but she's harmless, really." As if to prove him wrong, the tiny animal, no bigger than a human's arm, hissed at the security team. It showed needle-sharp teeth and claws. The problem got worse because of the Vraxian aliens. Vraxians were very jumpy and attacked when scared. One of their guards fired a warning shot that missed Panda, but burned the floor near her feet. What happened next would be talked about in security meetings for many years. The tiny creature moved faster than the station's computers could track. She jumped at the Vraxian guard. Before anyone could stop her, she disabled his weapon, cut through his armor, and put herself at his throat, making angry sounds. Jun-Ho ran forward. "Panda, no. Bad girl. We don't attack delegates, remember? Even if they shoot first." Amazingly, the animal immediately let go of the Vraxian and ran back to Jun-Ho. She climbed to his shoulder and rubbed her head against his ear, as if saying sorry. "See? She's really very sweet once you get to know her," Jun-Ho said to the shocked crowd. Ambassador Taewon arrived during the confusion. He looked like he wanted to disappear. "On behalf of Earth, I am very sorry for this misunderstanding." The meeting was stopped for emergency talks. Hours later, in a private room with the Confederation leaders, Taewon faced their angry questions. "You claim this ferret is a tame pet animal," said High Counselor Zarl. "Yet it disabled a trained Vraxian guard in 2.3 seconds. Earth ferrets were originally bred for hunting," Taewon explained carefully. "Panda is actually a special type developed to help protect space travelers from small pests during long journeys. Jun-Ho should have told us he had her with him." "And you keep these creatures as pets?" another leader asked in disbelief. "They're very good with children," Taewon said weakly. The room went quiet as they watched security video showing the harmless pet systematically taking down a soldier from one of the Confederation's most warlike species. "Ambassador," Zarl finally said, "the Council needs a complete list of all Ansa pet. Your species has changed. Right now." Taewon winced. "That might take some time." We've been selectively breeding animals for specific traits for about 15,000 years. The news that humans had spent 15,000 years deliberately making predatory species better at what they do, just so they could safely cuddle with them, sent waves of concern through the council. Meanwhile, in his room, Junho apologized to Panda. He gave her favorite treats while explaining why attacking delegates was bad diplomatic behavior. The ferret didn't seem worried at all. She purred happily as she curled around his neck like a living scarf. You don't understand, do you? Junho sighed, scratching under her chin. You just made things much harder for all of us. Panda licked his finger with her tiny tongue. A soft knock came at the door. Junho tensed, expecting more trouble. Come in. To his surprise, it was a young Vraxian, different from the one Panda had attacked. I am Krell, the alien said. Junior diplomatic aide. I'm very sorry about what happened. Junho started, but Krell raised a hand to stop him. I came to see the creature again, Krell said. His voice sounded odd through the translator. Junho blinked in surprise. You want to see Panda? Why? In 2 standard centuries of recorded combat, no one has ever disarmed a Vraxian royal guard, Krell explained. I must understand how. Junho looked at Panda, who was now grooming her whiskers without a care in the world. It wasn't really a fair fight, she surprised him. That is what I wish to understand, Krell said. May I? He gestured toward Panda. Junho hesitated, then nodded. She won't attack unless she thinks I'm in danger. Krell approached slowly. Panda stopped grooming and watched the alien with bright, interested eyes. Our species evolved as prey animals, Krell explained quietly. We learned to fight because we had to. But you're, Panda. She is a natural hunter. So small, yet so effective. Junho was surprised. I thought Vraxians were a warrior race. We became warriors to survive, Krell corrected. But it is not our natural state. He extended a careful hand toward Panda. The ferret sniffed his fingers, then did something unexpected. She hopped from Junho's shoulder to Krell's arm and ran up to his shoulder, where she sat and chirped happily. Krell froze, his eyes wide with what Junho realized was not fear, but wonder. She's so light, Krell whispered, and soft. She likes you, Junho said, amazed. That's unusual. She doesn't warm up to strangers so quickly. Perhaps she knows we are not so different, Krell said. Carefully, he raised a clawed hand and mimicked Junho's earlier motion, scratching gently behind Panda's ears. The ferret closed her eyes in bliss and made a purring sound. A smile spread across Krell's alien face, an expression Junho hadn't thought Vraxians could make. I see now, Krell said softly. See what? Why your people keep these dangerous creatures close. There is joy in this connection. The next morning, Ambassador Taewon received a surprise. The Vraxian delegation requested a private meeting. When he arrived, he found not only the senior Vraxian ambassador, but also young Krell, with Panda the ferret riding on his shoulder. We have reconsidered our position on humanity's companion species, the Vraxian ambassador announced. You have? Taewon couldn't hide his surprise. Junior aide Krell has spent the night studying your ferret. He believes there is much our species could learn from your approach to interspecies relationships. She showed me that predator and prey can find common ground, Krell explained as Panda nuzzled his neck. This is a valuable lesson for the Confederation. Taewon looked from the ferret to the Vraxians and back again. So, you're no longer calling for humans to be banned from the Confederation? On the contrary, the Vraxian ambassador said, we are now recommending full membership with one condition. What condition? Taewon asked carefully. That your species establishes a cultural exchange program to help other species understand the benefits of companion animals. Taewon could hardly believe what he was hearing. You want us to teach other species how to domesticate predators? We want to learn what your species clearly already knows, the ambassador corrected. That different species can form bonds of mutual benefit and affection. He said the last word as if it were new to him. As if to emphasize the point, Panda chose that moment to hop from Krell's shoulder back to Junho's, then to Taiwan's, where she sat looking very proud of herself. I'll relay your recommendation to Earth, Taiwan said, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure while a ferret groomed his ear. Later, as news spread through the station that the Vraxians, one of the most warlike species in the Confederation, had reversed their position on humanity, other species began to reconsider as well. I don't understand, Junho said as he collected Panda from Taiwan's office. How did this happen? Taiwan shook his head in wonder. Apparently Panda spent hours last night letting Krell pet her, and somehow that changed everything. Junho looked down at his tiny companion. You hear that, troublemaker? You might have just secured humanity's place in the galaxy by being soft and letting someone pet you. Panda yawned, showing her sharp teeth, completely unaware that she had just changed the course of interstellar politics. Or perhaps, Junho thought as she nuzzled his chin affectionately, she knew exactly what she was doing all along. The Marig invasion caught the Confederation completely unprepared. A hostile species from the galactic rim, they had bypassed early warning systems and launched simultaneous attacks on 7 key worlds before anyone could mount a defense. On the agricultural planet Nerix III, Confederation forces were overwhelmed within hours. The few surviving civilians and soldiers retreated to an underground complex, where they could only wait for the inevitable. Commander Sora, one of the human representatives stationed on Nerix III, was among those trapped. She had been traveling with a delegation when the attack began, and now found herself in a bunker with 30 terrified aliens and no hope of rescue. The Misrig will detect this shelter within 12 hours, reported a wounded Confederation officer. Their bioscanners can sense our life signs. What about evacuation? Asked Sora. All ships were destroyed in the initial bombardment. Sora paced the small command center, thinking. Finally, she activated her personal communicator. This is Commander Sora requesting emergency protocol companion support, authorization Delta 79. The Confederation officials looked confused, but within minutes her communicator chimed with a response. Help is coming, she announced. But I need everyone to understand something important. When they arrive, no matter what you see or hear, stay calm and follow my instructions exactly. 6 hours later, the bunker's perimeter sensors detected movement outside. The Misrig found us already? Someone whispered fearfully. No, Sora replied, checking her communicator. That's our ride. The bunker's outer door opened, and into the antechamber stepped a human male in wilderness gear. This was surprising enough, but what followed him caused several Confederation officers to reach for their weapons. Everyone, this is Park Jin and his team, Sora introduced quickly. They're our extraction specialists. Behind Park stood 6 enormous felines with sleek black fur, intelligent eyes, and fangs that extended past their lower jaws. Each wore what appeared to be specialized body armor and communication devices. Black Panthers, Park explained, noticing the aliens' alarm. Specially trained for search and rescue in hostile territories, they can mask our biosignatures from Misrig scanners and lead us to the emergency extraction point. You expect us to follow predators? A Nerixian asked incredulously. Park shrugged. You're welcome to stay and meet the Mirig instead. No one argued further. What followed was a 17-hour journey through Mirig-occupied territory. The Panthers moved silently ahead of the group, sometimes disappearing for long stretches before returning to guide them along safe paths. Twice, they encountered Mirig patrols, but each time the Panthers somehow redirected the group, using routes that confounded the alien sensors. During a brief rest, one of the Confederation officers approached Sora. How are they doing that? Blocking the bioscanners? Their fur was genetically modified to absorb scanning frequencies, Sora explained quietly. Originally, it was developed to help wildlife researchers track endangered species without disrupting their natural behavior. We found it works against most military scanners, too. And they obey your commands? Sora smiled. It's not about obedience. It's partnership. Jin's family has worked with big cats for 6 generations. They understand each other. As if to emphasize her point, one of the panthers approached carrying a small device in its mouth which it delivered to Park. He checked it and nodded to Sora. Extraction ship is in position. We need to move faster now. The panther, which the Confederation officers now noticed had a name, Hana, emblazoned on its tactical vest, made a chuffing sound and returned to the front of the group, seeming to understand the urgency. When they finally reached the extraction point, a sleek ship waited, nearly invisible against the night sky. As they boarded, the Confederation refugees watched in amazement as the Panthers took positions throughout the vessel, some operating specialized equipment with their handlers. "They're part of the crew?" asked the Neurixian. "Best co-pilots in the fleet," confirmed the ship's captain, a woman named Yoon. "Their reflexes are 3 times faster than ours, and they can sense spatial anomalies before our instruments detect them." As the ship broke atmosphere, evading Marig detection through a series of impossible maneuvers, the Confederation officers began to reconsider their assumptions about humanity's pets. "We've been worried about the wrong thing," one whispered to another. "It's not that they keep predators as pets, it's that the predators allow it." 5 years after the Marig conflict, the Galactic Confederation had undergone profound changes. Humanity's unique approach to interspecies cooperation, initially viewed with alarm, had proven decisive in the war. Now, the annual Confederation Summit was being held on Earth itself, a recognition of humanity's new standing. Admiral Tyke, now promoted to High Commander of Confederation forces, stood at the edge of the reception garden, watching the interactions with newfound appreciation. After his initial shock at first contact, he had become one of humanity's strongest advocates. "Still not going to pet one?" asked a familiar voice. Tyke turned to find Captain Jisoo, now Admiral Jisoo, approaching with a smile. Beside her walked a massive white feline with ice-blue eyes. "Perhaps next time," Tyke replied diplomatically, "though I must admit my understanding has evolved." Jisoo nodded. "Subin here is actually a descendant of Bora, the tiger you met at our first contact. She's been helping train the diplomatic corps in cross-species communication techniques." The tiger regarded Tyke with an intelligence that still unnerved him slightly, before settling gracefully at Jisoo's feet. Across the garden, representatives from 72 worlds mingled with humans and their companions. What had once seemed terrifying now appeared as something else entirely, a different kind of evolutionary path. "The Vraxian delegate is actually requesting permission to bring a companion of his own next summit," Jisoo mentioned. "Apparently he's become quite attached to a species from his homeworld after working with Junho's program." Junho, whose incident with Panda had initially nearly derailed humanity's admission to the Confederation, had ironically become the founder of the Interspecies Companion Initiative, helping other races explore the possibility of forming bonds with creatures from their own worlds. "It is still difficult for many to comprehend," Tyke admitted, "the inherent risk your species accepted generation after generation just to form these bonds." Jisoo considered this. "I don't think we ever saw it quite that way. To us, the universe has always been filled with potential friends. We just needed to find the right approach." Their conversation was interrupted as Daehyun approached, accompanied by a delegation of Marigs, former enemies now seeking peaceful integration following their defeat. Beside Daehyun padded a large wolf-like creature with silver fur. "The Marig representatives have a question about companion bonds," Daehyun explained. "They're having trouble understanding the concept of loyalty as distinct from servitude." Jisoo excused herself to join the discussion, leaving Tyek watching the gathered assembly with new eyes. A junior officer approached, offering a data tablet. "The latest report from the Frontier, High Commander." As Tyke reviewed the information, his antennae twitched with interest. "These companion-integrated exploration teams are showing remarkable efficiency." "Yes, sir. The human companion teams are mapping systems 3 times faster than our conventional units, and their first contact success rate is nearly perfect. Take handed back the tablet, his gaze drawn to where a group of children, both human and alien, were being introduced to a litter of something called fox kits under careful supervision. The Confederation xenobiologists had finally developed a theory about humanity that seemed to explain their unusual affinity for predators. Unlike most successful species who evolved either overwhelming physical advantages or sophisticated avoidance mechanisms, humans had developed a third path, relationship building. They had looked at the most dangerous creatures on their planet and seen not threats to be eliminated or avoided, but potential partners whose strengths could complement their own weaknesses. "High Commander?" The junior officer was waiting for a response. "Schedule a meeting with the Earth delegation," Tyke decided. "I believe it's time we discussed expanding the companion program throughout Confederation space." As he crossed the garden, Tyke found himself face to face with Subin, Jisu's tiger. The enormous feline regarded him thoughtfully before deliberately lowering her head in what Tyke recognized as a gesture of respect. After a moment's hesitation, Tyke extended a chitinous limb and gently touched the tiger's fur. It was, indeed, remarkably soft. "I believe I'm beginning to understand," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. Across the galaxy, a new era was dawning, one in which humanity's strange obsession with turning apex predators into companions was no longer seen as a bizarre curiosity or potential threat, but as a profound reminder that evolution took many paths, and that perhaps the most powerful adaptation of all was the ability to transform potential enemies into friends. Even if the initial motivation had been something as simple as having something soft to pet. The end.